Picture this. You're 78 years old. You've been sick for a long time. Maybe it's cancer. Maybe it's heart failure. Maybe your lungs gave up. The exact disease doesn't really matter anymore because you're past the point where doctors are trying to fix you. You're in a hospice bed in the living room because the stairs got too hard about 3 weeks ago. Your daughter is sitting in the armchair next to you. She's been there for 2 days. She thinks you're asleep. You're not exactly asleep. You're somewhere else. You can still hear her crying when she thinks you can't. You can hear the hospice nurse in the kitchen explaining things to your son in a quiet voice. You want to tell them you're okay, but your mouth hasn't worked in about 6 hours, and right now, your body is busy doing something more important than talking. It's shutting down, one system at a time, in a specific order. And the next 24 hours are going to follow a pattern that doctors and hospice nurses have been watching for over 200 years. Oh, hey there. Before we walk through what's happening to you, hour by hour, a quick fact you should know. About 60 million people die every year on Earth. Most of them, around 70%, die slowly from chronic illness, which means most of them go through the process you're about to go through. The last 24 hours of life are not random. They're not chaotic. They follow a script your body wrote a long time ago, and it goes like this. It started about 24 hours ago. You stopped wanting food, not in the I'm not hungry right now way, in the idea of food is repulsive way. This is the first sign. Your digestive system is one of the first things to go offline because digestion is expensive. Breaking down food takes a huge amount of energy and blood flow, and your body is now in conservation mode. It's pulling blood away from anything that isn't critical. Your stomach, your intestines, your fingers and toes. All of it is being abandoned, so the heart and brain can keep running for a few more hours. Your daughter tried to give you a sip of water this morning. You couldn't swallow it. The water just sat in your mouth until it ran down your chin. This isn't because you forgot how to swallow. The swallow reflex is one of the oldest reflexes you have. It went away because your brainstem, the part that controls automatic stuff like breathing and swallowing, is starting to power down. About 18 hours out, the talking stopped. Words took too much air. You were saying half sentences, then single words, then nothing. Your daughter held your hand and you squeezed back just once, and that was the last clear message you sent her. Around the same time, something interesting happened to your fingertips. They turned a little blue, then your knees, then the soles of your feet. This is called mottling. Your circulation is failing, and your heart can no longer push blood all the way to your skin. So the blood pools in patches and shows up as purple and blue blotches. The hospice nurse saw your knees and quietly told your son it was time to call the rest of the family. 15 hours out, you stopped peeing. Your kidneys need a certain blood pressure to filter waste, and your blood pressure has been dropping for hours. When the pressure falls below about 60/40, the kidneys basically stop. The little urine that's left in your bladder turns very dark, almost the color of tea, because it's full of concentrated waste your body can't get rid of anymore. Toxins start building up in your bloodstream. Normally, this would make you feel terrible, but here's the strange thing. Those same toxins are sedating your brain. They're acting like a natural anesthetic. The body is gently putting itself to sleep with its own chemistry. 12 hours out, your breathing changed. Your daughter noticed it first. You'd take 3 or 4 deep breaths, and then you'd just stop. For 10 seconds, for 20 seconds, once for almost 45 seconds, long enough that she stood up. Sure, you were gone. And then you took a big breath again, and the cycle started over. This is called Cheyne-Stokes breathing, named after 2 doctors in the 1800s who first wrote about it. Here's why it happens. Your brain controls your breathing by watching the level of carbon dioxide in your blood. When CO2 gets high, your brain tells your lungs to breathe faster. When CO2 gets low, your brain tells them to slow down. In a healthy person, this happens smoothly, like a thermostat keeping a room at the right temperature, but your brain is dying. The thermostat is broken, so instead of small adjustments, it overcorrects. You breathe too fast, blow off too much CO2, and your brain tells your lungs to stop. Then CO2 builds up, your brain panics, and your lungs gasp back to life. Over and over. Your daughter is timing the pauses on her phone now. The nurse told her to stop doing that. Around 10 hours out, something unexpected happened. You opened your eyes, you looked right at your daughter, and you said her name, clear as anything. You hadn't said a word in almost a day. You asked for water, and you took a small sip, and you said you loved her. Your son ran in from the kitchen, and you looked at him and called him by the nickname you used when he was 4 years old. And then, after maybe 20 minutes, you closed your eyes again and went back where you'd been. Your daughter is now certain you're getting better. She is wrong. This is called terminal lucidity, or sometimes the rally, and hospice nurses see it constantly. Studies show that around 43% of people who experience it die within 24 hours, and 84% die within a week. Nobody fully knows why it happens. The leading theory comes from a researcher named Jimo Borjigan at the University of Michigan. She found that as the brain starts to lose oxygen, it has one last big surge of activity, especially in the parts that handle memory and language. It's like a computer trying to save its files before the power goes out. Your brain is doing one final, beautiful, organized burst before it lets go, and it gave you 20 minutes to say goodbye. 8 hours out, the rally is over, and you've slipped deeper than before. You're in a coma now, but here's something the nurse will tell your daughter, and it's true. Hearing is the last sense to go. The parts of the brain that process sound are some of the most protected, and they keep working even after most of the brain has gone quiet. So when your daughter leans down and tells you it's okay, that you can let go, that she'll take care of her brother, that everyone is here, you hear her, you can't move. You can't show her you heard. But somewhere in there, in a part of your brain that's still flickering, the words land. 6 hours out, the death rattle starts. Your daughter is going to remember this sound for the rest of her life. So let's be honest about what it is. It's not you drowning. It's not you suffocating. You can't swallow anymore, which means saliva and the small amount of mucus that's always in everyone's throat is just sitting there. Each breath you take pulls air through that little pool of fluid, and it makes a wet, rattling, gurgling sound. It's loud. It sounds awful. The medical name is respiratory mucus movement. About 70% of dying people have it, and studies show roughly 80% of patients die within 12 hours of it starting. Here's the part the family needs to know. You can't feel it. The death rattle bothers everyone in the room except the person making it. By the time the rattle starts, you're too deep under to be aware of your own throat. 4 hours out, your skin starts to feel cold. Specifically, your hands, your feet, your nose, your ears. Your core, around your chest and belly, is still warm because that's where the last of your blood is being kept. Your pulse is hard to find now, even at the wrist. The nurse uses 2 fingers on your neck instead. Your blood pressure is somewhere around 50/30, maybe lower. Normally, a number like that would mean an emergency, lights and sirens, and a hospital team trying to save you. But nobody is calling 911. This was the plan. The whole point of hospice is to let this happen the way it's supposed to happen, without machines, without panic, in your own house, with your daughter holding your hand. 2 hours out, your eyes are partly open, but you're not looking at anything. Your jaw has dropped open a little. Your breathing has changed again. The Shane Stokes pattern is gone. Now it's a slow, steady, panting kind of breath, driven by the most ancient part of your brainstem, the part that runs on autopilot even when most of your brain has already gone dark. This is sometimes called guppy breathing because it can look a little like a fish breathing. Hospice nurses know this pattern means you have minutes to maybe an hour or 2 left. In the last 30 minutes, the breathing slows down, the gaps get longer, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute. Each time, your daughter holds her breath with you. The room gets very quiet. The nurse moves to stand near the foot of the bed. Your son, who came back in from the porch, takes your other hand. Inside your body, things are happening fast now. Your heart is in a rhythm called bradycardia, beating around 30 times a minute. Your oxygen saturation, which a healthy person keeps near 100%, is now somewhere in the 60s. Your brain is running on fumes. But here's something most people don't know. Studies of people who were resuscitated after their hearts stopped show that the brain has a final, huge spike of electrical activity right at the end. Gamma waves, which are linked to focused thought and memory, jump to levels higher than normal waking life. Researchers think this might be the brain doing one last full review, like a hard drive defragmenting, like a life flashing before your eyes, except it's literally measurable on a brain scan. What this feels like, from inside, is something nobody can fully describe because nobody who finished the process came back to talk about it. But people who came close, who were resuscitated from clinical death, describe something fairly consistent. A feeling of weightlessness, a loss of pain. The room sounds far away. There's no fear. There's no struggle for air, even though from the outside it looks like you're working hard to breathe. The body's natural shutdown floods you with endorphins, your own internal painkillers, hundreds of times stronger than morphine. You don't feel cold even though your skin is cold. You don't feel scared even though you're dying. You feel, mostly, calm. The last breath comes. It's not dramatic. It's smaller than the ones before it. You exhale, and then there's a pause, and your daughter waits for the next breath, and it doesn't come. She waits 30 seconds, a minute. The nurse steps forward gently and places her stethoscope on your chest and listens for almost a full minute, which is the official hospice protocol, before she nods. Time of death gets written down. Your heart kept twitching for about another 5 to 10 minutes after your last breath. By the way, cardiac muscle has its own electrical system and can keep firing weakly without any oxygen. Some of your brain cells stayed alive for hours. Skin cells can survive for over a day. Death isn't a single moment. It's a slow tide going out, cell by cell. So here's the part that's worth knowing if you ever sit next to someone going through this. The mottled skin, the rattle, the long pauses, the open jaw, the cold hands, the sudden moment of clarity that breaks your heart, none of it is suffering. The dying person is, in nearly every documented case, comfortable. Hospice doctors will tell you the dying have it easier than the people watching. Modern hospice care, with morphine for any breath struggle and lorazepam for any restlessness, makes the process about as gentle as it has ever been in human history. The bad news is, this is coming for everyone. The good news is, your body already knows how to do this. It's the oldest software you have. It runs without you having to do anything. You don't need to be brave. You don't need to fight. You don't need to know what you're doing. The 78-year-old in the hospice bed didn't take a class on how to die. Nobody does. It just happens, in roughly the same order, in roughly the same way, the way it's been happening to humans for as long as there have been humans. If you're watching this and you have a parent or a grandparent or anyone in hospice right now, the thing they need most is for you to be there and to keep talking, even when they stop answering. Their ears are still working long after their voice has stopped. Tell them what you need to tell them. Don't save it for later, because the rally, if it comes at all, only lasts about 20 minutes, and after that, the door closes. Like and subscribe for more videos about how your body works, how it stops working, and what happens in the in-between.